Hey, Mary. Yes, Andrew Lewis, he told me for many of you who took to the streets, protested, calling to defund the police department by 50%, you will be disappointed. He knows how closely Seattleites are watching this vote. He's had protesters show up outside his apartment. We've certainly seen the sparring outside City Hall. Today we saw it within the council as well.
I hope members of the public are watching.
With a big, unbalanced budget by her side, Seattle City Councilmember Shama Sawan criticized her colleagues for fading from their commitment of defunding the police department by 50%.
We have the power to make a budget that will actually reflect a 50% defunding of SPD. So what is stopping us?
The math isn't adding up. There's $188 million left in SPD's 2020 budget, and Sawant wants to strip it by $85 million, largely through layoffs. The council does not support a progressive plan, and Councilmember Andrew Lewis told me rash reductions could only backfire due to labor laws.
If we lose at the bargaining table, we got to rehire all those folks. We got to give all of them back pay, and it puts the entire movement back to square one. So, the approach of the council instead is saying, look, we're going to put policy in front of cuts.
Some of the policies gaining the most support, reducing or eliminating SPD's SWAT team, mounted police, and the city's navigation team, which responds to homeless calls.
The NAV team is just not providing the kind of trusted outreach and referral that unsheltered folks are looking for. So I believe it's time to cut the cord.
Councilmember Lewis told me there's majority support to trim SPD by 100 officers. For many who took to the streets, though, that's not enough.
Are you ready for the reaction when you've heard the cries to defund police by 50%, and that's not going to happen on Wednesday?
I think that there's going to be a lot of people out there that are disappointed, but I think part of our strategy as a council has to be like, look, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
It doesn't matter who lived down there, we would have stopped them. It's not okay to come to a neighborhood. There's children here, there's families.
It didn't take long for neighbors to realize what the sheriff confirmed, that at one point 200 protesters were headed to the Seattle Police Chief's home in Snohomish County Saturday night.
The community, we came together. We were here as a community to protect our community.
Whitney said 2 neighbors used their vehicles to block the road, and when the group couldn't access the area by car, about 50 moved in on foot.
You can't tell us it's going to be 100% peaceful because it takes one person.
They called 911, and after continually peppering the group with questions, it ended.
Very peacefully, because we asked questions. We said, well, what are you doing here? Why are you here? What's going on? Why do you need to be doing this? And by the time they wanted to stop answering, they decided to walk back up the road.
The chief wasn't there at the time, but fired off this pointed call to action to every city council member to, quote unquote, stand up for what is right. She said these direct actions against elected officials and especially civil servants like myself are out of line. You must forcefully call for the end of these tactics. It's become a pattern. Protesters have rallied outside the homes of Seattle's mayor and some city council members, including Councilmember Deborah Juarez's home just last week. Councilmember Andrew Lewis said it happened at his home, too.
I completely reject any tactic that is designed to be intimidating, that is misogynistic, that is a crime.
You should have heard the horrible, awful things they were yelling. They don't even know any of us.
So far, no formal response from City Council as a whole, but neighbors, they are united in their feelings.
People don't want to be threatened, especially at their own home where it should be a safe spot.
Michelle Esteban, KOMO News.
It gets scary, when the cops aren't here, then shootings and people flying up and down the road and just have no regard to anybody else, it seems like.
When sunlight turns to sunset on Alki Beach, that's when neighbors say things start stirring up. Just ask Kevin, who's lived on Alki Beach for a decade. What do you want to see different?
Cops, people not being so crazy.
And this weekend, a drive-by shooting that police say left 2 men hurt. We did some digging into crime stats for the Alki Beach area. According to Seattle Police, for the first 7 months of the year, there were 238 crimes reported against people and property. That's up from the same time in 2019 with 163 reported crimes, and 2018 with 175 reported crimes.
It's a little disappointing.
Neighbors like Tabby say police presence is critical.
I just feel like there's a lack of police presence. Even though you see them driving up and down, they're not engaging with, any of the people who are out here drag racing their cars till midnight, 1 o'clock.
Seattle Police say staffing hasn't changed in the Southwest Precinct, but there aren't any summer emphasis patrols because there aren't allowed overtime, plus concerns over COVID-19.
I think the police have the most difficult job in the country. I think they should be respected and commended for what they do.